Hey everybody, it is Steve and Carla. How is everybody doing and how are you doing, Carla?
I am fantastical.
Good. Well, I know your day's a little bit better now that you get to see me. So
Oh,
this is
Lord.
our very first episode of You Start, I'll Interrupt, Unsupervised with a Mic. Um, we really, in all transparency, don't know what we're doing, but we have a lot to talk about.
Well, I know what I'm doing. I get to interrupt. Isn't that what I'm here for?
That's what you just did, actually. So
I'm
you're right
right.
on.
Do I get points for every interruption? Because this
No,
could
you
be
lose
fun.
points for every interruption. Kind of like when we played
Oh,
Shuffleboard last week and I kind of kicked your butt, that
ooh,
whole thing.
ooh.
Yeah.
77 to 23. That was painful.
Yeah, it was painful. For you, not for me.
Rematch.
Um,
But you can reach the whole court, and I'm like 4 foot. So
true.
you had a height advantage.
I have the bird's eye view so I can kind of see where stuff is landing. We'll go with that. Um, so I thought what we could do since this is our first time and letting people know who we are, I figured we would just talk about our backgrounds a little bit and how we met. We've known each other for what, 30 years now, almost?
It's ringing every bit of that, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, way back when we met, which is crazy to think about because you know that joke is always the 90s were just 10 years ago. No, it's 30
Yeah.
years ago.
35 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Wow.
crazy. And we actually met at your house when I was on a date with your roommate.
True story.
Yeah, which is crazy because nice guy, no idea where he is, but here I am with you now, 30 years later. How did that happen?
Well, great, funny, like minded people, we tend to stick together. We've always been there for each other, so it you bond and you stick, and a lot of people stick in your life.
I always thought you were
That
sticky.
sounded that
You're
sounded weird.
super
Yeah.
sticky, so it totally makes perfect sense.
I'm a
Oh, we-
Klingon.
oh, I do love my Star Trek. So we met in
Oh,
Missouri. I was in college at the time, went on the date with your roommate, and we just have been friends ever since. And when I moved to Florida in 2000, you followed what, a year later, I think?
uh, what year was 9/11?
2001.
Yeah, I came the following year. So
Yeah,
2002, I was here.
which is, that's a long time ago now too, which is kind of crazy to even think about.
23 years.
So we have known each other for not quite 30 years, just shy of 30 years. I think we're like at 28.
Wow.
Um,
That
we,
makes us sound really stinking old.
well, you are
Hey,
older than me. So, so in that time, we've lived together multiple times, three times, four times, I think
one.
four.
Yeah, I think maybe four.
Yeah. So we're always each other's like safety blanket and escape clause in whatever situation we find ourselves in. So, that's always good to have that kind of comfort. So the reason we wanted to do this podcast and to start talking to each other on a regular basis is because we have learned that we are entertaining to our friends when we have our conversations, um, because they never know what we're going to say or where it's going to go.
It's
And I
hard to believe people ask for more. Even online, people
Yeah,
ask for more of us. Well, they're getting more. Buckle up,
exactly.
Buttercup.
No, it's like that saying, careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And here we are. Yeah. So who knows? But what I love about what we're able to do is we're very, very, very different, but very similar in a lot of ways as well. Like we're similar in that we're both attracted to the same sex as ourselves, so we're both gay. Male, female, tall, short. You know, you are very spiritual. You're a life coach. I am neither of those things. I'm a writer. I like to talk, but somehow we always like stay connected, which I don't know how that
But
works, but it
you're
works.
into paranormal, which is
True.
energy and flow and that sort of thing. So my energy, spiritual stuff, it connects that way in weird ways.
Yeah.
And the opposites kind of balance us, I think. So you
Yeah.
are very
Fantastic.
quite, no, that was absolutely not the word I was going for. But you are, I'm very talkative. You're quieter than me, yet both of us can be extremely outgoing when we're around people. And we are both very like kind of joyful people. We live
Yeah.
in that realm of kind of being happy, and we love to laugh. Like we can just look at each other and laugh.
Well, yeah.
You'll see that on this podcast a lot. We'll just look in the camera and start laughing, and nobody will understand what's happening. So,
Well, it's like like a lot of people with their best friend. You can look at somebody in their eye and know exactly what they're thinking, and look at them and tell them not to say what they're thinking without even saying anything to get that across. And you and I have done that a lot over the years to each other.
yeah,
Doesn't
but
always
I tend
work.
to say it anyway. I get us
Exactly.
in trouble. I'm probably yeah, I'm probably the menace in the couple here.
Oh, we're a couple. Oh, but no, you're absolutely right. I have to, we're a good balance, keep you from being too crazy and you keep me from being too calm, which is kind of a good balance, I think, in that way. Which
Yeah.
is, I think in any relationship, the balance is an important part of that. I don't know if I could be with somebody exactly like myself. It would be fantastic for a while, but I don't think I could last very long.
I'd drive myself crazy. Pretty sure of that.
I can see it.
I'm like, oh my gosh, can you be quiet already?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Just,
how I'd be.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that thing you do to me, that's going to be funny.
I do it, but it doesn't work. It's not like you ever listen to it. So, yeah.
It makes me laugh, though.
Well, that's good.
I laugh before I do say whatever you tried to get me to be quiet about.
Then you go ahead and say it anyway. So that's usually how that
Yes.
works.
Ta ta.
So here we are now, both living in Florida. We have seen a lot of crazy stuff since our friendship started, both
What is it you always say? Oh, we've seen some things.
oh my gosh, yes, we have seen some things, lived through some things, the rise and fall of relationships, rise and fall of illnesses, relocations, job changes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's been like a lot of things that have not been constant, but then I turn around and then there you are. You're like a dust bunny that follows me. So I like it.
I like how you always think I'm following you. I'm pretty sure you've come to live with me also.
That
Just
is true.
saying. Just
That
saying.
that is true. After you begged me to come live with you, I no.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, people. The first thing you need to understand is you cannot believe everything he says. Me, I'm always right on the money. Him, you got to, grain of salt. Just saying.
Grain of salt. I might embellish every once in a while, but just a slight little bit. Yeah, the truth is always there. Um, so we're hoping that every time we can do this podcast, we're going to have interesting things to talk about. Nothing specific, not scripted, but just things that we've experienced, recently, in the crazy life that we're all in together because the world is insane. There's way too much serious stuff out there. There's too much scary stuff out there. So our goal is to try to bring a little bit of a lighter spin to that. So I thought a good starting point would be talking about our shuffleboard game this past weekend because neither of us have really played shuffleboard. It's always like it's a Florida thing for sure, shuffleboard.
Mhm.
And my husband and I came over to your place for the Easter holiday. I got in the pool and you told us about the shuffleboard court. We just started playing, and I had so much fun. I didn't know what to expect, but it was ridiculous and it was a lot of fun.
Really had a lot of fun. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, clearly, with my only 23 points to your 77, which is why you want to start talking about the shuffleboard. So I can't wait till I win at something and then that's our topic. But anyway, um, yeah, it was way harder, but oh my God, I had an absolute blast. It is just, as adults, we just don't have enough just fun where we're just in the moment and we just have joy. And
Mhm.
that's probably my absolute favorite thing about us being besties. It doesn't matter if we're out doing something, if we're on a video chat, we just laugh all the stinking time. And it's just my favorite thing in the world. And I think everybody needs to find somebody they really laugh with on a regular basis. I think it's a very important thing.
I think laughter is incredibly healthy, and even in those dark times when you're going through something really bad, which we both have gone through, we've both been able to like laugh and part of it. during the journey of it, regardless of what it is. And, I think the biggest thing that we went through together was your illness. And I wondered if you were comfortable talking about that a little bit and the journey we went on there to kind of let people know who we are.
There are way too many funny moments in that to not talk about that. And also, I think it'll help people understand that the power of positivity and laughter's medicine and how those things can actually heal,
Mhm.
which, hoping this podcast too will help give people brighter days and lift them up and do those things because they just need more laughter.
I agree. And, that's a good example of going through something that was scary and crazy, but we were able to laugh through it. So,
Yeah.
and I'll let you tell the story, but essentially you um, became paralyzed. You had Guillain-Barré disease syndrome, Guillain-Barré
Syndrome.
syndrome. Started going numb, started losing the use of your arms and your legs, which is terrifying. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I remember coming to your house, making sure you had food. You couldn't really drink. There was this, I mean, there's like this little army of us to help you out. And eventually you did come and live with me because I wanted to be able to keep my eye on you, get you to the doctor, things like that. And I think the funniest early thing happened when the first time I saw you fall, which sounds horrible to say because it was not funny at first, but it was funny. And I wanted you to tell that story.
Well, you have to remember that prior to that, we've had 20 plus years laughing when the other one falls down or bumps into something. So it
Yeah,
was, you can always tell friends from best friends because friends will rush over to help you and they're worried about you. Best friends, they laugh first, then they help you.
100%.
That's how it is. So we laugh first. So anyway, you going to tell the story or you want me to?
Well, I'll set it up. I remember I was sitting at the
Okay.
table having, I think it was lunch,
Yep.
and
Lunch.
you had shuffled out of your room. I think you were on a, I don't even know if you were on a cane yet, but you had gone out because something had been delivered, and you went out the front door to pick it up. And where I'm seated, I can see down the hallway to the front door, and you step out, and then bam, you just go down. And I like paused for a minute, and I was like, I guess I should go help her. And then I walk out to give you a hand.
Yeah. And I fell because at that point my feet were numb. That's all that had happened in two fingers, I think,
Yeah, of
were numb. And when I stepped down to get Amazon, of course, when
course.
I couldn't when I stepped back up, I had no idea where the step was because I couldn't feel my feet. So down I went and you rushed over and were jerking on me to lift me up. And I was still trying to kind of get my breath, and all I could say was, "You're on my hands. Your big, gigantic 16 feet were on my hands, so you couldn't lift me up because you were standing on my hands, about to pull my shoulders out of my sockets."
But at the end of that, I was a little shorter and you were a little bit taller, the way we tried to get
Oh,
things sketched out.
hilarious. It was
Yeah.
so funny, but it made the fall not so bad because we were laughing so hard about you standing on my fingers. It was
Yeah.
so
Because once I figured
hilarious.
out what was going on, I'm like, well, how stupid is this? And then we just, had to kind of laugh. Yeah.
Oh,
And then, of course, it did eventually get a lot worse. You ended up in the hospital. And look at you now. Like I always say, you're feral. You're out there just everywhere, which is impressive. You came a long way.
yeah, yeah. It was quite the ride. But there was, you know, great emotional stuff, great things that I learned, fabulous people that I met, so there was really positive stuff that came out of that. But
Yeah.
ooh, that was a hell of a fight to get back. But again, the positivity and the laughs through it. What do we have? 10 or 15 funny stories throughout that.
Well,
But
yeah, I was just gonna say, I
oh,
remember the night we took you to the hospital initially, and I had to take you to the restroom.
oh, oh my God.
And again, gay man helping his lesbian in the bathroom is one thing, but that experience, we were in the ER, I think, of the hospital, and found a bathroom. And at this point, I had to physically move you.
Yeah.
from,
I was completely paralyzed at that point, from my
yeah,
boobs to my toes and my elbows to my fingertips.
but I had to
Completely.
pick you up from I guess it was a wheelchair and plop you down on the toilet. And it was a
Oh,
harder
you
plop.
plopped me all right. That's when I bruised my tailbone. You didn't plop me, you dropped
I
me.
mean, it was a good thing you were numb because it would have hurt really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
You dropped me. I didn't even realize till later that my tailbone was bruised because,
Yeah. And of course, I felt
yeah.
horrible later on, but that whole thing was chaos. And then we get you situated, and there's a knock on the door. You remember that?
Yes, because when you dropped me, like I was trying to hang on and trying to find the railing, even though I could barely move my arms, I'm trying to get some semblance of balance. People are knocking on the door because we had accidentally, well, I had pulled that emergency bell. They come to the door. One person asked if we were okay, said yes. They went away, still not realizing I have the cord under my arm and I'm still pulling the alarm. Now there's like six people banging on the door thinking there is a severe emergency. Kind of was an
It kind
emergency.
of was. I remember opening the door, and there's like all these nursing staff there. I'm just like, oh, damn. I'm so, we're good. We're good, I
And they
think.
were really freaked out, and we were
Yeah.
just trying to navigate my big ass around and get me situated,
Like, really,
and
she
they
just
were
has to
like
pee.
panicked. They
That's
were
all we want to
really
do is have
panicked.
her pee. It's the only thing we
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. So, to your point, it's one of the many insanely scary things we have found ourselves in where we have this ridiculous story that came from it too at the same time.
I know they're all panicked, and we open the door and we're laughing, and they're like, "This just doesn't seem right." Like you could see them trying to get their head around it, like they could tell it was an emergency. However, we were laughing, and they just couldn't quite equate them. A lot of people did that with us. They couldn't quite equate why we were laughing at something. But then our humor and our fun gets contagious to other people, then other people get in on the fun. So that wound up being a whole cheering, clapping, good time kind of thing.
But it's kind of amazing they haven't tried to put us in like some kind of mental institution, because these horrible situations, and then there we are laughing.
Yeah. Hey, it works. More people should try it and do that. I cannot recommend it enough. That's what we're here for today, people. We're here to help you laugh and have a better day. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this podcast will continue. We'll be able to have these conversations moving forward where we can talk about our experiences and how we handled them and the ridiculousness of them that we saw. And it doesn't have to be this big tragic situation for us to find something crazy. This past weekend, when we came over and we got in the pool, we walked in and the poor woman was sitting in there leaning against the wall, listening. No, she either had earbuds in or she had stuff to keep water out of her ears. And she's
Stuff
just
to
like,
keep water out of her ears. She had
she's laying
wax
there
in there.
relaxing, and you scared her.
I did. I said hi, I hope you're having a good day. And I'm thinking she's just floating and doesn't want to talk to anybody. And then your big ass gets in the water and this wave hits. And that's then she's like, ah, and she saw you and was scared. It wasn't me.
I get that a
She's like,
lot.
there's a big ginger gorilla in the pool with me, and I didn't hear him coming. But I spoke to her on the way in. Like, we were just going to float. We didn't mean to scare anybody, and we didn't mean to make it funny, but it just was.
It
She
was. And
laughed too. She
yeah, she
really
laughed
thought it
too.
was
She thought it was
funny.
very funny too. Yeah, she knew we didn't intentionally try to scare her, but I do that here. I accidentally scare my husband all the time. And I don't mean it. Like he's like, why are you always just like sneaking around? I'm like, I'm not, I'm 6'3" and I'm like 230. I make a lot of noise whenever I walk around, but apparently if he's not paying attention and comes around a corner, it scares the crap out of him, which I secretly find very funny, but I can't do it on purpose, else I'll get in trouble.
Well, it's nice to know you don't scare some people on purpose because me, you have scared on purpose on a number of occasions.
True, but you can't divorce me, so there's that. Um, but yeah, when we lived together, we used to hide around corners around each other all the time.
All the time. And when you scared me the worst with the dog poop picker upper that morning, that was that was the worst you ever scared me. I almost did a black backflip over that stool in the kitchen. I I really almost I was almost Wreck-It Ralph during that. Yeah.
Well, it was early morning. At the time, I had two dogs and had gone outside to do my cleanup of the yard of them. And was that the day you had locked me out, or did I just decide to knock on the window with the pooper scooper?
No, that was another day. That's probably why subconsciously I did lock you out like a week later, but no, this was before I locked you out.
So the way the kitchen was set up, it was like it was a it was a little bit higher than the yard because it had one of those platform houses with a crawl space underneath it. And I remember being out there and I just picked it up and like knocked it on the window above the sink. And then I heard you scream.
Well, it was pitch black outside, and I'm standing at the sink trying to figure out to make my coffee. I'm barely awake. I think that was what, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning? It was
Yeah,
very early.
yeah.
And there's bang, bang, bang on the window. I was like, wow, the man flipping over backwards.
hmm Yeah, it was one of my good scares. The other one I got you really good was I came home from a date and you were all tucked in bed, watching TV. And remember, I banged on the door. The cat went crazy, knocked your water over.
Left big claw marks across my boobs. He was sleeping right over here and he ran across my boob to the nightstand
And that's
because of
not a
the
short
noise
trip.
and knocked the water over. So I had these claw marks across my boobs. Not the first time that's happened, but the first time it was from a cat.
Oh, there it is. Thank you for that. So see, that's why you were laughing. You're like, oh, I've been here before. Absolutely not a problem.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So I think it's healthy to, I think that's why even as a kid, I have always loved scaring people. Like I would hide and scare my sister. Whenever she'd, you know, come out of the shower or walk to her room or walk down the hallway, I'd be around the corner. And I got punched so many times directly in my gut from her. You know, she's 4.5 years older than me. So, you know, at that age, you know, I would just bowl over and laugh and also be in pain and then get ready to scare her again at my next opportunity. So, you know, I come at it honestly for sure. Lots of practice just for you.
Yeah, thanks much. And I'm a puncher when I scream and punch. Every time you've scared me, you've been at a distance. But there have been people that have scared me before and they've gotten punched.
Right in the
One time they
kneecap.
put a cutout of Ellen DeGeneres and I opened the office door in the dark and I punched it right in the face. They were all hiding behind the curtain laughing because I thought it was a person and I punched it.
That's super welcoming. That's great that you do
that,
that.
that's why I don't go to haunted houses because it says do not touch the actors. I don't know that I won't hit them, so I can't go.
Yeah, we would have to make you keep your hands in your pockets and then like bungee cord you or something. That would not work.
Bungee cord me to you and drag me through the haunted houses. That would be fun.
You know, it's like those kids on the little leash thing with the backpack. I need one of those for you. That would be fantastic.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. We really need to go to a theme park and do that. How fun. Can you imagine the looks we'll get? We're
Yeah,
putting it on our things to do list, our bestie to do list.
a best to-do list. I'm gonna go take you for a walk in a theme park.
Yeah, we'll let the public vote. All the ears hearing this podcast or watching this on YouTube, you get to vote. Would you like to see him take me through a theme park on a leash? I bet we get a whole bunch of yeses.
Yes, but again, not like, you know, no offense to our leather community friends, not that kind of leash. We're talking like I have myself a kindergartner and she's going to get herself into some trouble if I don't keep an eye on her kind of leash.
Yeah, I want the monkey backpack one. I like that one. So
Some
I
kind
want to
of
wear the
evening
monkey
thing.
backpack and you're holding the tail.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Just give you a yank every once in a while. We haven't been to a
Oh,
theme park
how
together in a
funny.
long time. I think the last time we went to Busch Gardens for like food and wine, I think. Or maybe Christmas. It's been a
It was
while.
I think Christmas Town was last we
Okay.
did. Or no, maybe it was food and wine.
Well, either way, we're due for another
Maybe
trip.
both. Yeah,
Yeah,
we are.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My hope is that as we continue this podcast, we let people get to know us a little bit better as we keep moving forward and share our adventures and a little bit more about who we are with each one. Before we wrap up this one, our inaugural, hey, welcome to the podcast episode. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
No, just thanks for listening. Come on with us. Have some fun. Let's spread some joy, spread some laughs. Let's all hang out together.
And that's what we want this to be all about. It's not scripted. We have no idea what we're going to talk about each time. I have a feeling some episodes are going
We're
to be,
like that in real life. We have
yeah,
no idea what we're going to talk about. I just interrupted you again, so I get more points. Just
yeah. I was
saying.
just going to say that's why we call this. You start, I'll interrupt. So it is perfect. But yeah, I think sometimes the podcast will be 15 minutes, sometimes it'll be an hour. It just really depends on what we decide to talk about, how much time we have, what happened to us that week. But I'm looking forward to sharing stories with you and also sharing stories with people who decide to listen to us and vice versa and hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
So if you guys enjoyed our conversation and you want to hear more from us, check out our podcast, subscribe. We will let you know when we have new episodes coming out. Our goal, I think, is to do this every other week. We're just going to kind of see how it goes, let it grow organically, and go from there. And if there's anything that you want us to talk about, let us know. We'll put some contact information on the podcast links once we get this thing up and running, and you can let us know what we want to talk about, and we'll move forward from there. So thanks everybody for watching, and thank you, my lesbian, for chatting with me today. Again, it's always good to see you.
Till next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.